Hello there. Little yellow light in the corner tells me that I'm online. Here we go. So I'm quite nervous, and you'll understand why in a few moments. Because I've got a big announcement, and it's something that that I've been holding up and keeping to myself for a very long time. 20 years. 20 years I've been thinking about this and contemplated it, but it goes back much, much longer than that. And it may change the way some of you feel about me. And what I want to tell you is that I'm transgendered, and I've decided that I'm going to transition as a woman. So here I am. And his surprise everybody. Hey, Jim, bang on target. So, so what came to this? How did this come about? So, I've been struggling with this since I was a child. And, I'm going to tell you a story of how I got from there to now. So, just so you know, because I now need to introduce myself. My name is Laura. That's the name I want to be used. Now, I know that I'm going to be taking part in hangouts like this, and I know it's going to take time for people to process it and get it around their heads. So, so if I'm in a hangout and you accidentally call me, if you call me Cliff and you call me him or refer to me as him, I'm not going to get upset. Okay. I'm not going to start going, oh my God, you used the wrong gender pronoun here. I'm not going to do that because it takes a while for people to get used to these things. So, it'll take time for you to understand this, for you to get your head around it. I'm rambling because I'm nervous. I mean, I've spent several days sort of blending between excited and terrified, because, excuse me for getting another drink, because it takes a lot to admit what's going on in your head, to take a journey that, you've always wanted to, and I've never had the courage to do it. And that's really what it came around to, that I was effectively sacrificing my happiness because I didn't want to make other people uncomfortable. And I didn't want people staring and laughing and pointing fingers at me and things like that. Many of you know I've got agoraphobia. A part of the reason for that is when I go out, people don't see as I see me. They see me as a guy and they call me guy names and things like that. That's how they think I am. But my head isn't saying that. It's gender dysphoria. And it's been like that for a long time. So it's taken a lot. So here's the story. So when I was about 7 years old, might have been 8, I took part in a maypole dance. And, there were 16 children in pairs. And, they were dressed in different colors. So, 2 pairs in green, 2 pairs in yellows, 2 pairs in blue, 2 pairs in red. And, the boys wore white trousers and a gingham shirt, and the girls wore gingham dresses. And, I really wasn't enjoying it because even though I'd had loads and loads of practice, I was all frowning and concentrating because, I didn't know I had Asperger's then. Maybe it was that, but I was trying to get the moves right and the steps right and get the weave of the ribbon going properly and things like that. And so I wasn't enjoying it. I was just full concentration. But my dance partner, she was all happy and bouncy and, she looked pretty and smelled nice and, and I just, and of course there was also that boy-girl thing because, girls, that kind of thing. And, the same thing, boys have got cooties, as the Americans might say. So there was that kind of, age where, oh, girls, but I was just fascinated at how much she seemed to be herself. You know, she was in the zone and all that kind of stuff. And I admired that. And I just found myself thinking, I wish I was you. And it wasn't just that she was happy and confident and it was working for her, but it was, I wished I was her. I wished I was a girl kind of thing, because then I wouldn't have to worry about, whether I was getting it right and whether, this kind of mountain of expectation that was upon me. And so, so my parents were in the Air Force. And when you're in the Air Force, a couple of guys meet at, it's like a family. So a couple of guys meet at work and they introduce their wives and kids, and my friends were their friends' kids. So it was Vanessa and Marie. So Marie was a couple of years younger. Vanessa was my age. There was a month between us. And, we went to visit them because they'd moved. So we went to visit them as a sort of a week holiday kind of thing. And it's like, what are we going to do? And so I kind of guided the idea into playing dress up, because it's like, I like the idea. Why am I got beeping going? So it was a so there I am playing dress up, and that was all good fun. We were having a good time. But then the parents found out, and they laughed and teased me, and it just felt awful. And so, effectively I got the impression that this isn't what little boys are supposed to be doing or thinking or whatever. So I buried it. And, there was another opportunity when I was about 12, but I borrowed a dress, stole another word, because I could go to a shop and buy one, I was too ashamed to admit this. So step forward several years later, I'm 15 years old, and by which time I'm bigger, and I borrowed some of my mum's skirts out of a closet. And, it got noticed, and so there was like, put it back. So I did. And then we had a family confrontation. Now, it wasn't like a big shouting match or anything. It was we used to do these sort of resolution things. So you'd, we'd get air everything out, and then figure out a solution. Now, I only have one regret in my entire life. Now, it's not that I haven't done things that I regret, but every single one of those things I've created a learning experience from. I've learned something from it, why that was a bad idea. Maybe I should try something else, and so on. And so over time, sorry, I don't know why I said over time. So I'd create a learning experience out of it. But in this one, I didn't have a resolution for myself. So what happened is my mum is sat on the side of the sofa leg. I'm standing looking at my feet in shame, because I borrowed some of her stuff without asking, but also, this thing that boys shouldn't be doing, and I'd suppressed for a long time. And, she's like, why'd you do it? And I said, I don't know. And I didn't know. It was like an instinct. It was a way to express myself. It was like, I needed to express myself and dress up in the same way as I needed to breathe. Like I say, an instinct. So I, and she's like, you must know. And I didn't. And then she blurted out, and I'll never forget it. She said, what do you want to be, a girl or something? And I paused, deer in the headlights kind of thing. And, I just sort of, and I said to her, no. But in my head, I was saying, yes, I think. Because I didn't know. I couldn't explain it to myself. How could I explain it to my mum? I'm something of an autodidact. If I don't know something, I'll go to the library. nowadays you can go on the internet, but I would go to the library. And, well, how do you go to the library and say, hi, I want to find a book about boys that want to dress up like girls or be girls or something? Because, not only am I having to explain, why would you be asking that? Again, there's the shame. So, it was just impossible. And, if it was 20 years later with the internet, 15-year-old gets on the internet, looks something up, gets answers. There was nothing for me. The internet didn't exist for me at that time. This is 1989. So, I didn't have an avenue, so I just said no. And that's my one regret. Because my parents loved me. And if I'd have said yes, they'd have just said, okay, fair enough. Okay, well, let's get a child psychologist, and next thing you know, there's a gender identity, specialist, and, who knows what would have happened. But I said no, and I buried it. So when I was 17, I left home, lived in a hostel for a couple of years, and then I got this place. I've lived there ever since I was 19. And so, well, that was great. Privacy in my own home. I could wear whatever I wanted in privacy in my own home, lock the door, everything was cool. And what I used to go for was bridesmaids dresses because they were long and cute, and, being tall, long is good. So they were cute and ruffly and bows and all that kind of stuff, very feminine. And I like feminine. I'm quite a girly girl, actually. So, check out my nails. I'm quite a girly girl. So, let's just take another drink. So, so I go for bridesmaids dresses, and I used to have this routine to acquire a new dress. I would go to walk past a charity shop, and they'd have something on sale, and I would walk past a couple of times because I'd be checking the size and checking the cost, and then and I would make sure I had the exact money, so I didn't need change. And then I would, go across the street, and I'd be watching the door and cursing every time anybody went in and hoping everybody would leave. So there was just, one person in there, and that was the person who ran the store. And then when the going was clear, honestly, it was, people have robbed banks in less time, in more time than this, sorry. 3 minutes from they're out kind of thing. No, it was seconds. I would go in there, grab what it was, stick it on the thing, give them the money, stuff it in my bag, and I was gone. And that was the way it worked. But there was still this shame thing going on in my head. There was this untidy part of my life that I wanted to sweep under the carpet, but there were always lumps under the carpet. This need, this thing that I had. And I was just uncomfortable with it. And I'd be sitting on the sofa watching the TV, wearing a nice dress or something like that. And I just get this wave of shame wash over me, as if to say, what on earth are you doing? And that was it. The moment I would have to get changed. And the most surreal version of this was I lived near a main road, and there was a police car chase, complete with helicopter. And the helicopter flew right over my building. My balcony doors were wide, so balcony windows were wide open, no curtains, the curtains were open, nothing to stop anybody seeing in. And I had to get changed because I was scared that 5 minutes later, a police officer would be knocking on my door saying, why are you wearing a dress? So, it was just shameful for me. And it wasn't for any religious reason. It was just social etiquette, because I never had the religion thing anyway. So what happened was, everything was fine for a few years, but I just had this uncomfortable part. And then in 1999, I got my first computer. And actually, it was nearly a week ago now. It was the 6th of January, 1999, a Cyrix 233, I was able to start looking at things in the privacy of my own home. Now, first I was looking at all the things that I was interested in, but after a couple of months, this is the kind of time when some young man ends up looking at porn. because he's on his own, no one looking. Look at what you want. But I wasn't interested in that at all. Never been interested in porn. What I started looking up bridesmaids dresses and things like that. And back in the old days with like GeoCities and various other things like that, and search engines not really being a thing at that time. There were these like web rings, so you go from one site to another and follow links around and things like that. And I came across a chat room. Now, I've been using the chat room for a couple of years, just text. This is still in dial-up days. So there was a chat room there. And, so I went in and I was scared to death, honestly. I was literally shaking. I typed in a name. I was shaking because my idea of cross-dressers, which is what I thought I was, really, my idea of cross-dressers was, drag queens and, some prostitute on a Dirty Harry movie, or, like guys with beards and, fishnet tights with hairy legs and, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Well, that wasn't me. That wasn't me at all. So I went in there and I was shaking like a leaf, and and I went in there and they were so nice. Within a few minutes, I was at ease. It was okay. But it didn't really feel right because there was a lot of sexual innuendo. There was obviously there was a fetish there, and this isn't a fetish for me. This is a being thing. It's not my penis doesn't have anything to do with this really. This is a being. This is a personality trait thing. So, for some people, obviously, it was a fetish for them. And not only that, it was on IRC type stuff. So, it was an open chat that anybody could just go in. And there were a lot of pervy guys that would turn up, sort of, you could imagine them fapping away at the idea of she-males and things like that. And the people there, they would just mock them until they went away. That was how it worked. But it just didn't feel right. It just wasn't the atmosphere that I was looking for. But there was another chat room that wasn't listed, and there was a bunch of people in there, and a community much like we have. And so I, and it just made sense. I felt at home, and so over the next week or so, I instead of having this uncomfortable part of me that I wanted to sweep under the carpet, I was able to embrace it. I was able to accept it, as me. I had an acceptance thing. So that was all great. And, we used to have these events. We'd go off to, these locations out in the countryside and, get to be ourselves for 4 days or whatever. I went to several in America. Up in the Poconos, things like that. And one of, it was held in the gay resort. And of course, you may have heard me in Hangouts before when, I was sort of doing the English versus American style English, comparison where, I said like, oh, one time I went to America and, someone said, where's Amy? And I said, she's outside having a fag, which is funny. But of course, the fact it was a gay resort made it even more funny. But I could never tell anybody. I could never tell any of you that. So, it's comical now. But the reason why we went to a gay resort was because they were accepting of LGBT people. And this is the T. This is transgendered. Now, transgendered has everything, like a spectrum of everything. It's everything from, everything from cross-dressers and transvestites all the way through to, you got drag queens and all that kind of stuff. It's all a part of the same thing in the end. But, all the way to transgender people who want to get, surgery and all that kind of stuff, hormones. And that's where I'm going. Okay. But I'll more in that later. So, everything was fine. That I was going to these events. The one in America kind of tapered off as less people going because America is a long way to go for many people. I was traveling 3,500 miles. I did it a dozen times and it was expensive. And towards the end, I stopped going because I just couldn't afford it anymore. The flight prices were expensive and so on. But anyway, I'm rambling. So, so there was one in the UK, and it was all fine. But I had a couple of years ago, I had a bit of a row with some people, and I decided I wasn't going to go back anymore. That was it. I couldn't do that anymore. So I now needed a new outlet, because going back in the closet, it was just tragic. I couldn't express myself, you know. And so, but something something worth mentioning, I think now would be the best time in the story. So when uh, my mum doesn't like what I do. Now, I told her a few weeks ago before Christmas that I was going to transition, and it's going to take her a hell of a lot to get over, to get her head around it. But I think she's going to come along. She's starting to. I can feel the little maybes kind of coming in. Give me a sec. So, so uh, so I was, my mum doesn't like this, and couple and a half years ago, I shared this with someone. I shared it with Jade, and Jade was so lovely. I said, like, sometimes I wish I had a mum that accepted what I do. And she said, "I'll be your mum if you like." I mean, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that such a wonderful person? And it was something I needed. And so, and she said I look pretty and all that kind of stuff, just encourage me to accept this part of me, it was nice to just have that outlet again. But the so what happened was, I didn't have that outlet, and one of my friends at these event things, my friend called Alice, she lives in the Netherlands, in Holland, and she'd been going out, she'd been wearing androgynous stuff for years, girls' jeans and things like that. But she'd started venturing out a little bit more, and I just, this summer in the UK, or sorry, last summer now, but during the summer, we had a beautiful, blazing, lovely, warm summer. So warm, the hills were on fire, literally. Helicopters having to put it out. And I was going out on the balcony, which is behind me, and I was enjoying the sun. I was like reading a book, having a glass of wine, watching the planes go by, all that kind of stuff. And just having some music on, unplugged. That was the main thing. I was unplugged. I wasn't stuck on the, sat in the living room, looking at the computer, looking at Twitter or G Plus or watching videos or anything. I was just unplugged and enjoying the weather. And it was really, really wonderful, really nice. But I was going out there wearing a dress or a skirt. As soon as I went out, as soon as I was going out, I'd put a boy T-shirt on the top, because I didn't want anyone to, to guess. I didn't want anyone to say, "Wait a minute, why is that guy wearing a dress?" Because I wasn't wearing a wig or anything. I had short hair, and I wanted to express myself, and so I'm going out on the balcony in the hot weather, wearing a dress, and then putting another layer on the top, which is the exact opposite I wanted to do. So my friend Alice came to visit me, and she said, "Why do you care? Why are you worrying?" He said, "No one's can see you. I mean, there's actually 8 flats that can see me, but no one's going to see you, and if they do, who cares?" kind of thing. And so I just, I was like, yeah, maybe. So we were going to go to Manchester, and she said, "Do you mind if I wear a dress or a skirt?" I can't remember which one it was now. And I'm like, because I'm thinking, you're going to have to go right outside my doorstep, and, what are the neighbors going to think? What happened? Because she doesn't pass brilliantly. She looks good. She looks great. She feels it, which is the main thing, But, and she's looking better all the time, of course. I would show you a picture, but she doesn't want me to, so that's fine. And but so I'm like, and she's like, it's okay, fair enough. So she ended up wearing some purple shorts and a mint green t-shirt with flowers on. So it was girly, but it just wasn't a dress, And she looked lovely and she was happy and and comfortable. And there I am, wearing a t-shirt and a pair of tracksuit bottoms, sweating my balls off. I was sweating so much that it was chafing when I walked. It was really uncomfortable. And and it just like, there I am in Manchester thinking, oh, I wish I was wearing one of my dresses. And so, like I say, came back. Why do you care about the neighbours? So she went home, and we were chatting again, and on Skype, and she was saying how she'd been going out to this, that, and the other, and again I'm thinking, why can't I do that? And so over the few weeks, or just a couple of weeks, I just found myself thinking, why am I letting everybody else control my destiny? Why am I capitulating for everybody else's needs and putting mine second, sacrificing my happiness? And so it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, I want to do it, but again, I don't want people pointing and laughing and jeering or anything like that. And what I was afraid of, I told her, I said, what I'm afraid of is me coming across some troglodyte moron knuckle dragging fool who just gets in my face, laughs and points or something like that. And next thing you know, there's an incident. And the incident, because I can't stand social injustice kind of thing, when people are mean to me, I push back. Can't stand it. And when I see it going on elsewhere, I'm like, oi, no. Can't stand it. So, and what I was afraid of is I've got this kind of incredible Hulk thing going on. I'm big and I'm strong generally, but it's uncontrolled rage when it comes out. And what I was afraid of is, the next thing you know, he's being taken away in an ambulance and I'm being taken away in a police van. And someone managed to get it on, their camera phone. And next thing you know, it's on the local news or it's on the local newspaper website. And, I'm in court the next day and their wig's gone missing. And, there I am in, just looking awful and, a spectacle. The last thing that I want. And she said, don't worry about it. Look, if you want to go out for the first time, go to a museum or something. Because idiots like that don't go to museums. They go to the pub, And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I couldn't do it on my own, though, And I said, if there's any time to do it, Manchester Pride is coming up. Watch the Pride March wearing a frock or something, I think that I could do it because there's a lot of other people around. People are accepting of that kind of thing. And, they'll be watching, the show. And there are people in far more freaky costumes than what I would be wearing by comparison. So that might be a good time to do it. And within 20 minutes, she'd bought a plane ticket from Holland. And so on the weekend of the 24th of August, she came over. She came over on the Thursday. And on Friday, I'm going to show you some pictures. And on Friday, I used some of her makeup. And we went to Manchester, and here I am outside the art gallery, and look, I'm smiling. I'm really quite happy. I'm kind of nervous, but cute outfit, cardigan, and there we are. There I am in the art gallery, and like I say, it was a lovely day. So. Wandered around the art gallery for a while, and then then we went to a restaurant that was around the corner kind of thing, and it was a girly restaurant as well. Sort of cute cushions and nice chairs and flowers and all that kind of stuff. It's a lovely place. We had sushi, and there I am. So. And you can see I'm happy. Now, the makeup is a bit brown. It's a bit darker because Alice's skin tone is much, is much darker than you can see my Manchester pasty skin down here. So, and I love that picture. It's such a nice one. And then after that, we went to the John Rylands Library, which is a museum of old books largely. And again, I'm happy. I'm at ease. I'm getting to be myself out in public. And, it's exhilarating. It really is. So the following day, excuse me, I'm going to take another drink. So the following day was Manchester Pride. Got up early, and I wore this. And it's a cute 50s-ish style dress. A bit of a Minnie Mouse thing going on, I suppose. But and check out my shoes. Matching shoes. And these are actually the same pair of white plimsolls I wore the day before. Well, not the same pair, but the same type. You can see, same kind of white plimsolls that just got ribbons in instead of normal laces. They're exactly the same ones, but I went and painted red on them. So they're painted with acrylic paint. And like I say, I'm just happy, I got a nice sense of style. I'm quite pleased with that, and what I enjoy about going out are wonderful little moments. I kind of live on these wonderful little girly moments that you don't normally get to do when you're a guy, as it were. So for example, going to Subway, having a sandwich, the lipstick comes off, and you got your lipstick, you just get it out, and you fix it. So I go to the bathroom and just reapplied some lipstick, and back to normal. Little things like that. Leaving lipstick on a glass, again, something guys don't get to do, or at least haven't done since the 80s. Generally. So, and of course, many of you might know I quite like giraffes. So there I am around some wooden giraffes. And I'd also bought an Alice band with polka dots on because I thought it was cute. So yeah, lovely day. Enjoyed watching the march and everything, but it was nice to just be myself again. And then the following day we didn't go anywhere; we just stayed in. And then the day after we went to Aldsall Hall in Salford, but unfortunately it was closed. It's like a stately home. A sort of Tudor manor, and again, it was a lovely day, and a couple of things that happened. So the place was shut, so we went around to Media City, and there was an artisan market. So between the Lowry Art Gallery and the mall that's there, there's this sort of round square, which is ironically a square circle. But anyway, so there's this, area, and they had an artisan market. So they had things like, candles, homemade candles, dream catchers, artwork, all sorts of things, that people had made. But there was also, there was a guy who had jars of, like vodka bottles and, gin and things like that. And what he did was he drilled a hole in the bottom, put fairy lights in, and they were really nice. I sort of asked him how did oh, look, that looks really nice. Asked him how he drilled the hole in it, and that kind of thing. That was, it was interesting. And he, so when we left, he said, "Enjoy your day, ladies." Having an acceptance of that, it wasn't someone who's saying, "Bye, guys," or something, not the general guys, sort of, "Hey guys, how you doing?" You say it to ladies, you say it to guys, what, men, whatever. But it was like, "Enjoy your day, ladies," or "Have a good day, ladies." Again, lovely, a lovely moment. You capture those moments, because one of the things that I've created a coping strategy in recent days. What I'm effectively doing is basically turning it into points. So, the guy saying "enjoy your day, ladies" is like 200 points. There's no actual figure itself. It's just a concept. So that's worth 200 points. And sort of a couple of days ago, I went into town, and across the road, a lady was walking on the opposite direction towards me, and she looked at me, and I smiled, and she smiled back. There's another point. And the idea is that I accrue all these points, and it gets up to 550 points or something, and then it gets some arsehole that says, makes a snickery comment or points and laughs or something, and that's minus 200 points. Well, I'm still in positive number. That's 530 points here still. So yeah, I've taken a bit of a downer, but I've got more positive than negative. So let's go with that. So it's my way of thinking about it. So so another example was, we went inside. I like Subway sandwiches, so we went in for a sandwich of something to eat in the afternoon, and I'm in the queue, and there's a lady in front, and she gets her drink, and I'm just about to get mine, and she comes back and she taps me in the arm, and she said, "Oh, I love your bag, honey." Just this one here, which is flowers and birds. And again, it was that acceptance. She was talking to me as if I was a woman, and just being loving towards me in the way that I want. So it was just great to have that, and those are the things that I thrive on. So Alice went home, and then I went out for the first time. This is the first day that I went out on my own as Laura. And I'm in Boots, which is like a place that sells cosmetics, and they've got all the counters for so they've got a number 7 counter, and Elizabeth Arden, and L'Oreal here, and all these different companies, and just getting some advice on makeup and how to do eyeshadow and things like that. Now, at the time, I was wearing pink eyeshadow. And I do it really good because I'm a model maker, so I already know how to paint. Well, painting on figures and painting on my own face, not a lot of difference. It's just a scale thing, and the materials are slightly different. So, and actually, that's the dress I'm wearing right now. Now, the only thing I don't like about that picture really is that I'm a bit fat, but I'm losing it. I'm really losing it. When I was in San Francisco, I was 20 stone, which 280 pounds. I've dropped loads of those now, and I'm at 235-ish. So I've lost a lot of weight in a short amount of time. So I'm doing something about it. Anyway, so just going there and having some ladies treat me like another lady and being nice to me, and it's wonderful. And I've been down there enough times, and as soon as they see me, they wave and say hi, and we can chat for a few minutes and things like that. And it's just all positive vibes. They're almost friends now. It's really wonderful. So, there I am again. And I got a stranger to take this picture for me. The previous picture was a lady around the counter. And just asked a stranger, would you take a picture, please? And she did. So then, between going out, took another drink. So between going out, I practiced the look. I tried to practice doing makeup, and try to getting comfortable with how I present myself. Trying to, because this is all a learning experience, and so for this one, for example, I was wearing pink eyeshadow. Pink is great, and I was told by one of the ladies. She said, "You've really, really got it great, but here's there's one thing. Pink is something that women wear in the summer, a nice summer dress, something like that. That would be perfect. But in the winter, because this is November, in the winter, we tend to go for a smoky eye look. And so I looked up on YouTube, and this is my first attempt, sort of this blending. So it's lighter here, goes darker on the outside, and does a bit in the crease here, a little smudge there. But, so I still couldn't get eyeliner right, though. And I'm just starting to get it good now. But again, I was happy. I was happy with the look. Look how happy I am. Get my getting the aspects right. And the more I was going out, and the more I was, those thoughts that I'd had for the best part of 20 years of living the person that I always wanted to be, living as a girl, living as a female for, those thoughts came flooding back because I'd entertained the idea of, wouldn't it be great to go for this thing that you've been wanting, that you've kind of really wanted to do for a long time? And so, it just made me think, why don't I just go for it? And so the more I was going out, the more I was getting accepted, the more it felt right. And the more it felt right to say, and, this is going to sound narcissistic and, like I'm telling you all to get fucked. It's going to be, why should I give a fuck what anybody else thinks other than me? This should be about me and my comfort, not about everybody else's. So, and so I started to tell my friends online, one at a time, here and there. And, I've now got a Skype group called Laura's Friends where I introduce people who know about it. And, because, I was exploring this new aspect of my life and saying, that rather than have one place, rather than have to go to 10 people and tell them the latest news about how I'm doing and how I'm feeling and how I'm looking and what do you think to this and how do you think that looks? I was saying to myself, someone said to me, why don't you create a new group so you can just tell all of us? And, and it was a wonderful thing to do. Thank you very much. You know who you are. It's Pew. I'll just say Pew. It's Puke Review. I mean, Pew Review. So, he suggested it, and it was a great thing because, to have my friends there, to have Jackie in there saying, oh, Laura, you look stunning today. Oh, gushy, 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 makes me feel so good. That's 500 points there. That's what that does for me. That's what that kind of acceptance does for me. And, over the last couple of weeks, I've told loads of people. There's about 25 people I've told in all, and I was going to mention other people, go to other people. And, it just, other things came along. They weren't around and things like that. I poked a couple of people and so on. But, it just, and every single person has been positive. It's been like, oh, excellent, well done, you yeah, you do what's comfortable for you, So this outfit here, so this is a week. I lived as Laura for a week. So rather than, just like no makeup and just sitting around in a frock, because I've been doing that for years. And just something so you know, if you saw me on TST or any other hangout and my camera wasn't on, I was wearing a frock. You can be absolutely certain of that. Every single time. When I went to San Francisco, it was really hard because I couldn't wear any girl clothes any time. I sleep in a nightgown every night or fluffy pajamas. And I wasn't able to do that because I didn't know whose room I was sharing. So I was having to I had to buy some new pajamas. I didn't wear guy pajamas for years. I had to buy some new ones because, I knew I was sharing with people and they didn't know. And the only person who knew at the time was Fiona. Because she was the next person I told after Jade. So this is a week where I lived as Laura for a week. Every day I dressed up and put the makeup on and, got everything looking right. I imagine myself having to go to an office or something. And if you notice the look that I go for, it's classy, it's smart. I'm not trying to allure men. I'm not trying to look sexy. I just want to know. I just want to look smart and feel good within myself. Because this is about me feeling good in my own head, in my own skin. And so, just wearing a nice pomegranate dress here, a Lindy Bop one, same brand as the red polka dot dress I was wearing earlier. So this, I didn't take a photo on Monday. Took this photo on Tuesday, and then this was what I wore on Wednesday, which I had a Lindy Bop skirt there as well, and a twin set. It's a bit cold around here at this time of year. So lots of cardigans. I wear cardigans a lot. And then this was Thursday. This is without the cardigan. This is with the cardigan. And everybody says I look good in red. This is a blouse with poppies on it. So everybody says I look good in red. And, you know, and then this was Friday. And again, whenever I show that picture, people go, "Oh, wow, that's brilliant. You look great in that." And so whenever I show someone for the first time, usually that's the one I go for. And again, I'm happy, you know, I'm posing for a camera, but I'm still happy, you know, to say, this is me. And again, in that, you know, the Skype group, I'd post a picture and it'd be like, "Oh, you look great," all that kind of stuff. All, you know, more bonus points again. And then, you know, just again experimenting with the look and, you know, feel and everything, you know, just feeling nice. Bought this dress. It was £9 on eBay. Chuck a cardigan with it, you know, pair of tights and shoes. Getting shoes is hard. I've got very long feet. Being tall, long feet. But there's the dress without the cardigan. And again, I can't wait till the summer where I can wear that in Manchester and, you know, wear that out when I go to the shop or something. And, you know, because one of the things to bear in mind, I'm quite a girly girl and I like wearing dresses and skirts, but I don't want to wear jeans and leggings and things like that because basically it comes down to biological stuff. And at the end of the day, I don't want people seeing boy bumps. That's basically what I call my genitals, you know, boy bumps. I don't want people guessing. And, you know, so wearing dresses hides so much. I mean, you know, unless I get a gust of wind coming underneath like Marilyn Monroe, I'll be fine. So, you know, just a nice outfit. So, and then there's this one. This one was a bit risky. I bought it on eBay. You know, I buy a lot of things on eBay. And it's a great dress, but it's a bit short. You can see there's my knees, and that's rather short. But the problem is because I'm a bit fat and it's got a fixed waistband, it wants the waistband wants to go to the thinnest part of my body, which is between, you know, below my boobs, as it were, because I've got, you know, I've got to wear a bra, and even then wearing a bra is awkward. I'll tell you that in a minute, maybe. But you know, so as a result, it rides up, and, you know, just like, yeah, I couldn't wear that out. You know, I love the style, love the Peter Pan collar, and, you know, the way the skirt is and everything. It's lined as well, so it you know, looks good and feels good as well. It's nice and warm. But you know, it's like, yeah, that's too short. That I couldn't wear that out because all I have to do is drop something on the floor, and next thing you know, I'm showing my undies or something and boy bumps, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to show that. However, into the new year, just after Christmas on the 27th, I went to my local supermarket because I needed a couple of things, and you know, I went, screw it, you know, so I went with it. Like this, and I've worn it out since once more as well. And I just took a belt with it to stop it from riding up. But what happened was I had to, you know, there was something on the bottom shelf and I needed to crouch down. So it's like, okay, let's go ladylike, you know, sort of the old deportment class with a book on your head and, you know, sort of back straight, crouch down on your, you know, with your knees, keep your everything flat and straight so you're not leaning over, and just crouch down. And I was able to pick it up, you know, go down to that shelf, get the things I wanted, stand back up properly, and still look dignified and, you know, smart and elegant and everything. So yeah, I did quite well. And then that's what I wore for New Year. The red shoes might be a bit of a push, but I was wearing a red cardigan. And that's another Lindy Bop dress. It's an Audrey Hepburn style one. They come with a belt as well. And I just thought, you know, let's wear something nice and cheerful for New Year. So, you know, like I say, that's basically the story so far. Almost. Because not only have I decided that this is what I want to do, that I'm going to go for it. So just before Christmas, a month ago. Yeah, so before Christmas, I went to my doctor's and I asked him to refer me to a gender identity clinic. Now, the waiting list is long, and it's 11 months. I got a letter back just over a week ago now, and on the 13th of February, I'm going to be getting a phone call, and it's going to be the screening. And then I'll get an appointment, because I want to go through the whole hormones and all that kind of stuff. Now, something to bear in mind. I want to point out something. So, some of you are bound to be a little bit like, I don't know what to do, don't know what to say, and so they want to go quiet and say nothing. Well, don't be afraid. Don't be scared to ask me questions. If you want to know something, I'm almost certain gonna answer for you. So what I'll do is, I was going to do it before and I forgot. So I'm going to put my email address below, and if you want to ask me a question, you send me a private message on G+. Send me a message on an email, and I'll pop, fair chance I'll answer you. But my sex life and what I'm going to be doing with my genitals is off the table. This is, think about it this way. Would you ask a friend the intimate details of what they do with their genitals? Like, no, I don't think you would. Why would you ask me mine? So that's basically it. That's the only rule. What I do, my sexuality and what I do with my genitals, that's nobody's business but my own, and any doctors that I need to consult about things like that nature. But if you want to know how I feel or how I'm doing and things like that, don't be afraid to ask. So what's been happening very recently is went to my doctor's just before New Year. I told my parents. My brother was cool with it. My dad was surprisingly cool with it. It's like, yeah, you do what you need to do. He was really cool. He's worked with transgender people, so he's kind of got used to it. So my mum was not happy. Now, I told her about me, accepting myself back in 1999. I went to America and I thought, you know what, I'm going to tell my mum in case the plane has a crash or something, because you'd end up having to clean out my place. And next thing you know, she discovers I've got loads of dresses and think, oh my God, my son was gay or something, because people, for some reason, they associate the idea of being, a cross-dresser or transgendered with being gay, because people basically can't tell the difference between sex and gender. They assume that, on your birth certificate it says sex, M or F, based upon what you've got between your legs, that's the same as what goes in your head, and it's not. The way I've sort of described it is, sex is who you go to bed with, gender is who you go to bed as. So I'm the nearest I'm going to mention about sex and stuff like that, because I'm actually a virgin. I'm not afraid to mention that. It is as it is. I've always been the kind of person who I wanted to have a serious relationship, not just a fling. I mean, if I wanted to just have sex, I could go and hire a prostitute or something. I mean, whatever, go to a bar, have a one-night stand. But that's not my style. I want to have something more, more meaningful than that. And I've had a couple of girlfriends, but it never worked out. One of them, decided she didn't want to be with me anymore. She didn't like me anymore because I'm an atheist. Because she had this wonderful idea of a big white wedding and all that kind of stuff, and she believes in God, and suddenly, oh, he's an atheist. Oh, well, there goes that marriage, that idea. So therefore, I don't want anything to do with him. I would have faked being a Christian for a year to give her what she wanted. No problem at all. I would have been making a vow to her, not to a God that I don't believe in. But anyway, so another friend lovely person, but it just wouldn't have worked out. So, and unlike Donald Trump, I do have a wall, and the wall was this, because between the trains and the planes and me not being an earner, well, these are minor things, but this is a big thing to climb over. And today I am demolishing that wall. Again, I'm doing the opposite of Trump. Trump wants a wall, I'm demolishing mine. So it's so the change that's happening, I've decided I'm going for it. So I went to my doctors, asked him to refer me to a gender identity clinic. I told my parents, and then I was going to come out in spring or summer or something like that. But the more people I told, the more the risk that it would leak out, that I'd be in a hangout and someone would accidentally call me Laura or something, and I didn't want to risk that, because next thing you know, I'm having to do fix rumor control, and I'm having to come out earlier than I expected, and it's all a big surprise, and it's like, oh gosh, that'd just be a disaster. So it's like, no, I'm going to tackle it, and that's the reason why I'm doing this today. I'm just coming out and saying it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be going on my model railway channel and going on, because I'm a member of a model railway society. I'm actually the vice chairman of a model railway society, or vice chair of a model railway society. Tomorrow, I'll be going to mention it to them as well. So I've got 3 communities to do this to. So the latest thing is that there's a PDF document out there called Mascara and Hope. And it's comical. It's actually quite funny. It's, and it's a guide of how to negotiate through the NHS system, because, in the UK, this isn't going to cost me anything other than makeup and, things like that, and time. So let me just take a drink. So, and look, straw, lipstick on my straw. Another point. So, so what happened was, I read that document, and like I say, it's funny. I mean, one of the things that I want to do as soon as possible, I suppose, is get laser hair removal, because I've got this big shadow that sits here, and and also there as well, and also get rash on my neck. But what's in that document, it describes you think pain. Having laser hair removal in that document is described as being punched in the face with a fistful of needles that have been dipped in lava. So now I've got something really to look forward to, haven't I? But the cost benefit analysis, yes, it's going to hurt like a mofo, but I'm not going to have to shave all the damn time. I'm not going to have to, if I'm going out for an afternoon, not a problem. But if I'm going out for a long day, then after about 6 hours, you start to see bumps, and after 12 hours, the black hairs of the moustache start to push through the makeup. So you get this sort of shadow that appears. So that's the kind of thing that I have to worry about. It'd be great when that goes away. But anyway, so reading that document, and the first thing they say is change your name. And so in about a week, I'll be changing my name, and I will be legally Laura. About week and a half, and believe it or not, in the UK, it is so easy to do. Anybody can do it, and it costs nothing. Because what I'm doing is I'm issuing a document. Unlike, you want to go to the driving license authority or whatever, where they hold a database of who's allowed to drive and who's not, and how many points they've got and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just reading what Fiona said about shaving her legs. But anyway, so so what I do is I write a document saying I, Laura, am relinquishing my name, Cliff, and I will be known as Laura forever, kind of thing. And then what you do is you sign your new name, your old name, and you get a couple of people to sign to witness it. And then I can then go to a bank or the council or my landlord and say change my name in your records, and they're obliged to do that legally. That's what they've got to do. So it's a piece of cake. And at the moment, I've got the letter. Fiona has agreed to be one of my witnesses because she was the second person I told after Jade. And there was a wonderful thing that happened in the last week. So I read that document one evening, and it's like, you got to change your name. This thing that I was going to wait until the summer, because I bought a passport for going to the funeral in San Francisco, and it cost 70 odd pounds. And when I change my name, that passport becomes annulled. So I've got to get a new passport with my new name, and that will be Laura, but it will still have M as the as the sex on it. But once I got through this, after I've got to live as Laura for 2 years before they give me something called a gender recognition certificate. So it's basically, yep, you're a girl. They recognize me as a female, or whatever gender someone chooses, because of course there's male to female and female to male. So what happens is 2 years' time, I get this gender recognition certificate, which I can then take to the passport office and then have to buy another passport. And this time it'll have F. And of course, when I get that gender certificate, I can also get any surgery or whatever, So, yeah, that's how that works. Well, so what happens is I read that document saying that you've got to live as your new gender for 2 years, and the clock starts when you change your name. So if I waited till the summer, I'd have to wait 2 years after that. So it's like, do it now. And so, within a day, I'd done the research, written the document, and sent it off. And Fiona's got it at the moment, although I did make a typo, so she's going to have to print off another page, because silly person me, sort of lost 1,000 years by putting 1019 instead of 2019. Oh well. So what happened was so there I was reading, it doesn't count until you change your name. Well, suddenly that thing that I've been planning, and I'm just like, what am I going to do about a middle name? I hadn't really decided, never really figured it out. So what am I going to do for a middle name? And so it's like, okay, get out the internet. And I started scrolling down baby names from 1974, because that was the year I was born, 45 years old last week on the 8th. So there I am scrolling down Colleen, Mary, Judith, scrolling down these names. That one's not too bad. Let's see what else there is. And then it got to number 54, and I saw Jade. And I knew that's what I wanted as a middle name. Because one of the common things that happens, I don't know if it happens in other parts of the world, but in the UK, if it's a baby girl, then the middle name is frequently the name of the mother or a grandmother. And Jade adopted me as her daughter. May not have been biologically, but she adopted me in heart, in spirit, as it were. And that was just the perfect name. But I wasn't going to co-opt it, because people who know this community well enough knows the dangers of co-opting things that belong to other people or in common usage. Where's my crown? Anyway, so what happens is I'm thinking, well, I can't just go and steal that name. I need a second opinion. So I got up. I mean, I couldn't sleep. And I got up and, Geordie was around. I chatted to Geordie for a while. I suggested, went, oh, yeah, that sounds great. And I posted it on Laura's Friends. And then, and I'm like, just hoping everyone's fine with it because, I just didn't want people saying, yeah, it's great that you're doing what you're doing. And it's great that you're going to transition and, you're living the way that you want to live. But taking Jade's name, that was really inappropriate. That's not cool. And I didn't want anyone saying that. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, upset anyone, And so I phoned up Ellen, Jade's friend, and we've been chatting since after, right after I got back. And I told her about this, and she's seen me talking to her like this. She said, "Oh my gosh, I've got goosebumps." And she's more of a spiritual type of person. So she said, like, Jade's looking down now, and she's delighted for you. It's perfect because, like I say, Jade was like my mum, and so I don't just get to keep her in my heart anymore. I get to keep her in my wallet as well. I think Jade would appreciate that joke. So, it's just perfect. So my name will be Laura Jade. I'm not going to tell you my surname. That's private. Don't want to get doxing, because this is we've had that. So, that's basically the story right now. I've got, a couple of years. I'm going to be going to a gender identity clinic. They're going to be, examining everything to do with my life. They're going to ask very intimate questions because at the end of the day, they're gatekeepers. Their goal is to make sure that this is real. This is something that isn't a mistake. Because, of course, you go through this system. If I decide that, I'm going to get surgery, this isn't like a paper plane that you can unfold and iron it to make it look like a piece of paper again. Once it's done, it's kind of like there's no such thing as partial circumcision. You go all the way, or you just don't bother. And so they've got my future in their hands. So I've got to, go through their system, tell them what it is that I want, what it is that I need to be myself. And there are risks. There are huge risks because, not only if I get any surgery, that's invasive stuff. I'll be put to sleep and they'll be doing surgery for many hours. And this is elective stuff. This isn't, it's not like if I don't do it, I'm going to die. So, it's not like I'm having my appendix out or something. This is a serious, thing, and it's a choice, as it were. Although it's not really a choice in terms of what's in my head. It's a choice on whether I'm going to get that done to fit what my head is saying. It's the dysphoria. Because, of course, I've looked in the mirror and I look and I see a guy and I go, ugh, like that. I look at myself in the mirror like this and I get a smile. I'm happy. So not only that, there are other risks because, in probably about a year, maybe a year and a quarter, year and a half, I'll be getting hormones. These are female hormones. So it's, testosterone and then, try again. The other way around. It's estrogen, which is the female hormone. And then about 3 months later, you start taking testosterone blockers. And so, your body will change. My face will get, softer. The skin will get softer. The hair will grow less or grow more in certain other places. My muscle mass will reduce. I'll get, the muscle mass will move to my hips. The body, the fat will move around a bit. And, I'll look much more feminine by comparison. And some other little bits. But at the same time, there are risks that go with it because I would be more prone to getting breast cancer because guys can get breast cancer as well. You may not realize this. So if you feel a lump, get it checked. But, also deep vein thrombosis. Now, imagine there's another gathering in, San Francisco or something, and I get on a plane. That's 10 hours in a plane. If I've got being tall, I've already got a risk of deep vein thrombosis being stuck in a non-moving position for many, many hours. So getting on a plane and being susceptible to deep vein thrombosis on top of being susceptible to deep vein thrombosis could be dangerous. Not only that, I'm overweight. I'm losing a lot because, and for specifically for this reason, they don't like to do surgeries and things like that on people that are really, that are overweight. Because I was actually obese. I'm now just getting into overweight, and I want to get into healthy. But they don't like to do surgery on people that are overweight because, with the hormones, there's a chance of blood clots. It increases the chances of blood clots. Well, you add blood clots into, clogged arteries and things like that, it can end up people being dead. So there are risks, and I'm prepared to take those risks to be me, to finally be me. So that's the state of play right now, and I'm happy. As much as I sound quite earnest right now, I'm happier than I've ever been. So I'm going to invite a couple of people, some people in now, people in my small friends group. And, I'm happier than I've ever been, honestly. As much as I look earnest, I'm really, really happy. I'm happy to be myself. And from now on, that wall's gone. There's nothing that, is a barrier about me being me. And like I say, all I ask is for people to, just be nice to me, it's and I'm not going to get upset if we're in Hangout and use the wrong pronoun. I'm not going to get upset because it's going to take time to get used to it. I hope people will be kind enough to try and give me the respect, and just call me Laura if you can. I haven't decided what I'm doing with my channel name now because being called Cliff, that's the guy's name. Not very keen on that. I'd like to have people start calling me Laura more. And of course, when you see, Laura in the box underneath, then you're more inclined to say Laura rather than Cliff Jumper. Because despite Cliff Jumper being, a robot and not really a sex at all, when it gets shortened to Cliff, that sounds like a guy's name. I actually had someone say, "Oh, I thought your name was actually Cliff." Oh. So, yeah, that's the way things are now, and I'm happy. And I've got some challenges ahead. I mean, one of the first ones is I've got to change my voice because there's no surgery that will change the thickness of my vocal cords. When your body goes through, when a male's body goes through, gets all the testosterone, the vocal cords thicken. They can't be unthickened. It's not like you can, go and have a short back and sides and get them shaved as such. They can tighten them, but that could end up being a raspy voice. So there are ways, and what you can do is you can raise the tone. So, my normal boy voice is down here. I can make it a little bit softer. And there's even ways where you can make it even higher, but I'm not very good at that yet. I sound a bit squeaky. And you can go all the way to Mickey Mouse as well, but that sounds stupid. So
yeah, that was Stephen Bachman.
Yeah. So
that's not right, man, but funny as hell.
Yeah. So that's basically my story, and I hope you understand. I hope what I've explained will give you an idea of what I've been going through. It's been a struggle, but believe it or not, I'm a member of. I've been going. There's a transgender Discord group, and there's quite a lot of young people that are struggling with figuring out who they are. Yes, they know they're transgendered, but they're still trying to get their sense of self, properly, right in their head. And they struggle. And of course, it's not helped by sometimes family keep getting in the way, that one person in there, every time they buy girl clothes, they have to hide it. And when it gets found, it gets thrown away because parents aren't happy. This is someone who needs to leave home as soon as possible. But of course, we live in a country where, trying to find a home or a flat. There's just not enough to go around. So many people end up living at home until they're 25 and more. So, it's hard. It's hard for people like that. But for me, I've got a different story because I already know who I am. I've already got my head around who I am. I've already been comfortable with who I am for 20 odd years. The only thing I wasn't comfortable with was the idea of going out like this because I didn't want people looking and staring. Because I get some stares, I'm 6'4". The most, you don't see, most men aren't this tall, So what one of the little things that kind of makes me a bit uneasy is I'll get someone walk towards me and I'll get a double take, because what they'll do is their peripheral vision will see someone tall and they'll look and they'll see me, and then they'll sort of blink and they'll go, wait a second, something wasn't quite right there, because I still got the masculine features and things like that, and I'm really tall and kind of broad and everything, and so so they'll do a double take and they're like confirming, and then they'll get a silly smile or a goofy, or a knowing nod, as if they're saying, that's why she's so tall. I live in a perpetual state of Schrodinger's pass, where, I can't be sure whether I'm being read, as when someone can tell that I'm trans or not. So I can't be sure, but if I open my mouth and ask, then I am being read. So I'm, it's a tough thing. So, yeah. So, anybody got anything to say?
I couldn't figure out why I didn't have sound. It's because it was going through my headset.
Why aren't my ears working?
We love you, Laura.
We love you.
You did it. I am
Laura,
Congratulations.
you did it.
so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I am very proud of you. As speaking for myself, I am so proud of you for doing this, and I don't think you're going to have any problems with the community as a whole, save a couple assholes that are going to be assholes no matter what.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to that stuff, I'm already prepared, because there are some people that don't like me. They don't like me, and nothing I ever say will ever be good enough. So I don't really care
And
about
that, and this ain't gonna make that better or worse. It's already a fact.
Yeah, So whether I'm wearing a wig and makeup wouldn't make any difference at all, or not. And then we've got the likes of the fundy arseholes like G-Man or something who, he could make a video for 45 minutes saying how awful I am and how, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, here would be the sound of me giving a fuck.
We need the Google effects board back so I can play the crickets.
I need to put up my bucket, my bucket of fucks that's supposed to put up forever empty. I got none to give, I mean, shit. And we had one in the chat, that JIL guy that Pew dealt with quickly.
Oh yeah, well he doesn't. He's already on the doesn't like me. You see.
Yeah.
Largely because I've intimidated him by being smarter than he is.
It's not very hard to do.
And showing his own hypocrisy. I've
got a mouse running around my apartment that's smarter than he is. So
yeah. Well, my favorite one where he sort of counteracts himself was where he was saying how he's in favor of free trade capitalism, but is also in favor of Donald Trump's trade tariffs. And it's like, well, if there's trade tariffs, then it's not free trade anymore. These are opposite things, but he thinks they're the same thing. That's because he's an idiot. But, whatever. Again, I don't care what he thinks. What he believes his God thinks about this has no relevance to my life whatsoever. I'm not afraid of his God because I don't believe it exists. I'm not afraid of hell because that doesn't exist, etc., etc. So,
even if his God did exist, the fact that sorry, go ahead. Even if his God did exist, the fact that if that were true, then you were made that way, and that is just that means his God is evil, because why would somebody make someone that way and then torture them forever?
Yeah.
That's an evil God. I'm sorry.
Well, the God in the Bible is an evil God. We're not going to take this down that road because
I mean, you know,
but that's the pagan view on it for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget we got Fiona here who is a Christian, and
yes, I know. I'm rallying at the type of view that Jesus is Lord and G-Man and others have, not at Fiona's view, because I was Catholic and I never had an anger issue or anything. I just drifted away from it. Yeah. I mean, my best friend was a Jesuit priest, so I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And well, Fiona's Fiona.
If G-Man decides he wants to make a hangout where he laughs and is awful to me, it's like I don't care, because I don't care enough about him already. Yeah, sure, go ahead, give it. So yeah, like I say, I don't care enough about him anyway to be offended. You know.
Yeah.
It's, he doesn't like me already. He's on the enemies list, and it's not that I think of him as an enemy. He thinks of me as an enemy. Because I figured out there's going to be 5 responses generally. There's going to be people who love me and care for me no matter how I present myself. There's going to be people that are a little bit confused and they don't know what to say or do and they just go quiet. There's going to be people that are a little bit, wigged out by it and they kind of start, they turn into sort of like a version of Tommy Hall where it's like, oh, I like my penis and the idea of you getting rid of yours freaks me out. So therefore, I'm just going to show how masculine am I and talk about how much I want to bang women and things like that. And, it's like, yeah,
you get rid of yours, makes men shrivel.
It's basically the idea of, oh, la, 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 that freaks me out. That's basically
that's a sign of someone who's very secure in their sexuality, right?
Yeah, truly.
And of course, there's going to be some people that move into the, well, I liked you, but now they're in the category 4 of, yeah, I don't like anymore. Well, bye.
Well, because, just a second, I'm going to mute myself here. Maybe?
Yep, you muted yourself, well done. Hi, Nate, how you doing?
Hey, Nate.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, congratulations, Lord. This is fantastic. I can just imagine how it feels to finally just be free and to let everyone know how you feel and who you really are. So I appreciate you, and I know you guys are talking about the clown G-fool or whatever, but he never liked any of. He doesn't like me. So no matter what I do, it's not. His opinion is not going to affect. The only thing I can see them saying is some ridiculousness about how the Bible finds it to be a sin, while he goes and lies and steals money from people, in fundraisers. So, so listen, live your life. And hey, I'm extremely ecstatic for you. And hey, anything I can do to support, just let me know.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Much appreciated, Nate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do want to point out, I don't think G-Man actually stole anything. I think there's a potential that he could. I think he just wanted to be the hero and put on a cape and put his underpants on the outside and say, look how great I am that I took some money off people and they gave it to some other guy, rather than just send them to him and his PayPal.
I'm sorry, but if G-Man tried that, he would just end up with his underpants on his head. But anyway, enough of that fool.
Yes.
I am thrilled to bits for you. Absolutely thrilled to bits for you. You have no idea how amazed and how humbled I felt when you asked me to be a witness in signing that document.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to get your name wrong. I don't know how many times. I'll say that right now because I barely remember my own name.
Don't worry about it. My mum.
For years I thought I was called. For years I thought I was called Hey You.
Yeah. My mum calls me my brother's name and occasionally calls my brother my mum the dog's name.
Yeah, my mother called me.
You just got white people problems because my mom calls me, you son of a bitch. And like, what I'm your son. I'm your son.
Well, I typed in the Skype our Skype chat. I typed him for the chat, his chat or something like that, and I went, "Oh fuck!" But I was able to edit that, and make it right. But I'm not always going to be able to do that. So we're all going to make mistakes.
I think Cliff understands we're going to make mistakes. I see him right now. I think Lord understands that we're going to make mistakes because we've, for years we've been calling you by the other name. But I'm going to try my hardest to actually, to respect it and to understand it. And any mistakes that I do make, just know that it's actually coming from love and maybe from ignorance. And and I am going to make the effort to be better. So.
Right. Well, the thing to bear in mind, just to say, Jackie, the thing to bear in mind that you've known me under a different name, so your mental image of me comes to, like an avatar and a sound of a voice and a picture every now and again. And so now you're having to sort of learn a new thing, and it takes time for this to become second nature. So again, I'm not going to get upset at anyone if they, the funniest one was Geordie.
I was going to say, you can help me now.
I had a private hangout with Geordie, and it was hilarious for me because I'm chuckling away because he was saying, "Oh man, I mean," and then he was like, "Oh Cliff, I mean, Laura, yeah," and he was like stumbling over his own tongue.
I had that moment with you too, though.
Yeah,
I had it too.
I actually had more of a difficult time trying to address Laura as Cliff, like in public, and trying to be cautious of like, wait, who's in this group? Who can read this? Because I'm at the point where Laura comes naturally to me now. So like now I don't have to worry about accidentally calling you Laura in like public space. I can just say Laura.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about using Cliff anymore.
I have to say, Laura, you genuinely look happy, and that's what matters.
Yeah. You look relaxed.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful.
And your jokes are funnier.
Well, you see now.
I love you.
Now, here's the thing.
Muter.
You say, what are you all going to do now? Are you going to accuse me of dad jokes?
I was just going to say
dad jokes because they're still the same quality as a dad joke. It doesn't matter what gender someone is. If they tell a joke like that, it's a dad joke.
It's a dad joke, whether a guy tells it or a girl tells it. It's a dad joke.
I've been calling them cliff jumper jokes for a long time, and they're a special level of bad that even transcends dad jokes. Okay, so the name change is going to be fine for me.
And do you know there's another thing that has been really liberating doing this? And that's that those kind of body things that you would love to do. Have you ever, just to give you an example, how many of you have, been listening to some music, grabbed a hairbrush and dance or whatever, and you just sort of wave your hands and things like that? Could you do that, with the exception of Geordie?
Yes. Yes, I could.
Could you do that in public?
No.
A lot of people.
Yes, I could. Yes,
I've done it.
He does.
A lot of people.
A bunch of shameless people.
Yeah, a lot of people feel really,
Jordy does it in public because Jordy doesn't see the people staring at him.
Hey,
Jordy's the guy at the baseball game that gets on camera because he's up just getting down during the music.
No,
and the
literally, that's actually true. That's actually literally true.
But like I say, I would dance around in a dress in front of the TV, and it's quite sort of, it's got like a screen on it, so you can see the reflection sometimes. And doing these, sort of girly flicks and things like that is like, yeah, I want to do that, but I couldn't do it because, the idea of going, oh, that's just silly, I
want to do it as well, and I can't do it.
I do that shit at the club all the time.
I've broke out in Billy Joel songs in the grocery store though. So, but I sing. So yeah, that's me.
Someone enlighten Captain in the chat. I think he's a little late.
We did. I think we did.
Yeah, I think
he got the clue.
I think yeah.
I wanted to say one thing. I'm actually glad now that you're out. publicly, because now I don't have to shift addressing you with the different genders. Some of the friends that I have that are trans women are still at work, they're male, and at home or with friends they're female, and it does make it really confusing sometimes, because I'll try not to slip one or the other. And the funny thing is that I've always known that your name was not Cliff. I just would call you that because that's your YouTube account, so there we go. But I like the fact that now I can just say Laura and it's done with. And you have the same name as my daughter. So it's like, yeah, okay.
Oh, that makes it easier then.
Little easier.
Yeah, see, you got it made because you don't have to go through this transition with her like the rest of us do.
Yes.
It's cool, I mean, it's all fine. I'm gonna fuck it up though, just so I know I'm gonna.
We're probably all going to do it just because of the account name and stuff like that. I think once you figure out a new YouTube account handle, I think it's going to make a big difference.
Laura.
I was toying around the idea of Live, Love, Laura.
Yeah.
I like that.
As a channel name. But I don't know. I'm still, tumbling it around. I've been rather focused on how am I going to say it to everybody than worrying about what my channel name's going to be.
Yeah, you did fine, and you did great.
Changing my name legally, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's bigger things.
And there's another thing as well. I've had people that got upset, or like they'd hear the story and how I've struggled, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so tragic." And I've said, no, don't get upset for me here. This is a celebration. I'm no longer confined to that. That doesn't define me anymore. I'm not defined by the sadness of not being able to express myself anymore. I'm now defining myself as my head wants to be. I'm choosing to, to embrace this thing that I've always wanted, but never had the courage to do. And now I've got the courage, and I'm saying, yes, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And there's another thing that I really want, and I don't know, it might be a struggle for people, but there's basically sort of two worlds, if you know what I mean. There's a guy world and a girl world, and if guys start talking about cars and things like that, the girls sort of start rolling their eyes and thinking, yeah, I'll see you later because this is boring, and equally if it was a mostly girl hangout and guys and they started talking about makeup and things like that, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of bored, I'm going to go now. And so I want to be embraced. I want to start talking about makeup and stuff. Yeah, go ahead. I want to start talking about makeup. I want to start talking about girly things because I'm new to this. I'm new to having to put makeup on. I'm new to these kind of this new world that I'm exploring.
We can be new together because you're the reason that I started trying to learn to do makeup for transgender to be able to get somebody to pass. And that was spurred by you. I mean, I do face painting, I do that stuff anyway, but I have no makeup on now. I never wear it. So this is new to me too. Now I got to practice on myself as well, and it's your fault. I'm one of those gamer girls that I'll have the cleavage down to here and stuff, but I don't do my face. I just, I'm 51. It's like, how do I do this? Because I'm getting older.
Yeah.
But I still like all these bright colors and so that's why I face paint. But it's your fault.
My difficulty again goes back to that Schrodinger's past thing. I effectively have to look too feminine, as it were, because most women, they'll be happy wearing a long, tunic length sweater or something and a pair of leggings. Well, if I wear that, people might see boy bumps, but the shape, I'm quite broad, and I'm still got rather muscly, and my walk, I'm having to learn how to walk again effectively, because guys, they kind of walk like this. Their feet point out, and they kind of stop side to side. Girls tend to have their feet pointing in the direction they're going. And, if I want to look, because if I walk straight like that, the 45 years that I've been walking like a guy makes me automatically want to walk like a guy, and all I've done is pointed my feet in the same direction, but I'm still kind of square and straight. Whereas what I'm now doing is putting my feet one in front of the other so that I'm forced to kind of, swing. I'm forced to pivot my body, and that's more feminine. So I'm having to be too feminine in a way so that I don't get spotted. So I don't, because, as much as I might like to appear that way, I'm still doing things that will give it away.
I do want to make a comment about your makeup, Laura. You did a great job. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean,
better than anything I could ever manage.
Yeah,
it's very natural.
Very natural. I'm impressed.
I was going to say on the walking and learning to move, you notice sometimes I have belly dance experience. There's lots of belly dancing videos on YouTube, and I know it's going to feel really silly, but that will help teach you to find your balance point and to be able to move a little bit more natural.
That's true.
Because I do Turkish and Egyptian belly dance, but not now that I'm heavier. That's what part of why I'm losing weight. But yeah, and you have a weight loss buddy too.
The way that I did it, I haven't done any extra exercise, and I did 5 little things. I gave up pop, I gave up chocolate, although most of it anyway. I gave up ice cream. Instead of having the big Haagen-Dazs pots, it's like, none of that. That's a lot of that. I know.
Chocolate and ice cream.
Next, you're gonna say you gave up pasta.
Oh no.
I use high protein pasta myself. Because of the diabetes, I have to be fairly lower carbohydrate, and some days are better than others, unfortunately. But because I have to watch my blood sugars, I'm almost primal keto, whatever, but I'm not that far because I don't want to damage my liver and stuff that prolonged keto does.
Well, the other 2 things is I replaced many of the like I'd buy chocolate, a bag of chocolate or something, and I eat it all in one go. I've replaced that with apples. So if I fancy a snack, I'll have an apple. I like apples. And then the final one is control the food-mouth interface problem, i.e. stop sticking so much in my face. Because, I was sitting here at the computer. I'd need to go to the toilet, so I go to the toilet and then come back via the fridge. And there's another snack. So instead, I was eating like 4 or 5 snacks a day and then having a meal on top of it. It's like, is there any reason why, I was so round?
Yeah, that's why part of.
Nope.
We looks like she froze. Rip Christina's connection.
So how you doing, Ryan?
Doing pretty good. I'm happy that you came out with this. To be honest, I saw the very beginning. You said this might surprise you. Normally when people come out with this kind of stuff, people really aren't all that surprised. But to be honest, it was a little.
There I am. Sorry, my computer freezes. Anyway, I'm on day 3 doing intermittent fasting, which even the Mayo Clinic says is good for calorie control. And so I'm doing that. So it's like now I don't eat till 4 o'clock in the morning, which right now is driving me crazy. But in part to just so that I can be mindful of what I'm putting into my mouth and how much, and then, I was running 45 minutes yesterday, so I'm getting to that point. So yeah, it's working, but it's not working fast, which it's not going to. But I found a good substitute. I also have Soylent like every other day, and I mix like cocoa powder into it that's unsweetened and stuff, and that's 15 calories a tablespoon. And then I have non-sugar sweeteners that I'll put in there so that I don't up the calories on it. And one thing of Soylent's like 450 calories after I add stuff to it, and that'll make sure I get the vitamins in and stuff, and I feel full. So those are little tricks I'm doing, and they're working.
Well, the other thing that I've got going for me is I went to see my doctors as a part of when I asked to refer to a gender identity clinic, but I also said that I want to lose some weight, and so I went to a dietitian. I've been put through to a dietitian, and she has given me these, which are fat binders. So basically, little blue pill, and every time I eat something that's expected to be fatty or whatever, then I take one of the pills with it, and what it does is it stops the fat from being absorbed into my my body too much, and it just flushes right through instead of just being stored.
Yeah.
So, and that's made a massive difference. I mean, I've been on them for a couple of weeks, and I've already lost half a stone. So I lost 6-7 pounds.
Nice.
In 10 days. Which sounds like a lot, but it's the main difference is that I've lost a little bit of fat here, but also my tummy is quite fat, but it was quite dense, and it's now a bit more squashy. So it seems to be, going away there. But anyway, sorry, Ryan was saying something while you were frozen.
No, sorry.
It's not a big deal. I just wanted to say that to be like with you, I'm not really sure if it really. I'm trying. How do I try to say this? I think like with you, like I generally try to focus more like on people's like internal factors rather than their external ones. So to you, you're always going to be the same person, like who is a big news junkie, who likes to go cycling, who likes to talk about Formula One stuff. So to be honest, like for me, I really just don't think it won't really be too much of a significant thing really for me, because I just see you as you.
Yeah, I mean, the person I am isn't going to change,
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm still interested in planes, I'm still interested in trains, and women can do that too,
Oh yeah. I love cars.
Yeah,
I love planes,
Yeah, so just because, I mean, there is a weird thing that happens in trans community, and it's called something called ascendance. So it's basically people who they transition and then they just disappear. They move to a different city, they get a new job, and they pretend that the past is completely different. So
it doesn't seems pretty unhealthy.
Yeah, that doesn't seem healthy to me, and I don't see you doing that at all.
No, I'm not. No, I mean, I'm still interested in model railways. I've got a YouTube channel where I do model railway stuff. I mean, what's going to be the difference when you look at me? Thank you very much, Fiona.
Love you, Fiona.
Take care, Fiona.
Bye, Fiona.
So when people, what's going to happen on the YouTube channel? They're going to look at me talking about trains, and they're just going to look at a different face. Well, there's a couple of other transgender people who do model railway videos. And then, when I'm doing the modeling, they'll see some fingernail polish or something. I mean, that's going to be the real difference. So, I don't see a reason why, just because I'm changing my gender doesn't mean to say I have to change all my hobbies. And not only that, I can get some new ones because
your hobbies and your interests generally more define you as a person rather than your external factors. So
right.
Yeah. So all I'm doing is I'm acquiring a couple of new ones because I'm going to be interested in doing makeup and stuff as well. And by the way, anybody being a chick is really expensive.
Yeah, fuck all that.
Really is.
I can barely afford to be a man.
The foundation I use just to put the the face on kind of stuff, because the way that I do it, I have to start. So I start with a primer, which is, it's like fills in some of the pores and makes it look a bit better, but it also stops the makeup from running off. And then I've got to use this thing here, which is a concealer. And it's a really dark one. It's like a peachy dark color. You compare these two, you can see how much difference there is. And the reason is because of the blue shadow that's there, and particularly there. I also stick it here when I get razor rash. And what happens is it stops, because it's blue. If you add peach over the top, then it tones it down and hides it. And then I could put foundation over the top. Well, this stuff is 12 quid, 11 pounds, 12 pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
And I get about 2 or 3 months out of it. More if I dress up every day, you know.
Can I ask? Sorry, one question. Did you trade in your old bike for a woman's bike, or is that really not a thing?
It's going to be a thing. I just haven't got money for it right now. So I'm already looking at new bikes. I've already got a couple in mind. There's a really cute pink one I like, but you know.
Pics. Send me pics later.
It's kind of like, is it too much? Yeah, but it's £100 cheaper as well.
Hey, why not?
Hey, you go with what you want.
Yeah.
If they're gonna look funny at you, they're gonna look funny at your pink bike or not.
Yeah. Well, like I say, you know, let me. Yeah, check out that.
Oh, okay. So it's like a little beach
I can't
cruiser.
see it.
I like it.
Oh, let me.
Oh, there it is. Got it.
There you go.
Oh, that is cute.
Isn't that lovely?
It looks like the old Schwinn bicycles from the 60s in the US. I like the old vintage bikes.
Yeah,
I want a vintage one.
It looks like the bike from Wizard of Oz. It's the bike from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Because the dog rode in a damn basket.
Yes.
Well,
if the basket folds over, then yeah, that's.
Well, the funny thing is, there's a bike ride that happens at the last Friday of every month, and they happen all over the world. The first one started in San Francisco, and so what happens is everybody just rides around the city for an hour or two. But for when it comes to Halloween, you know, people wear costumes and things. And I've only got one fancy dress costume because I went to a fancy dress party many years ago, and I went as Alice in Wonderland, and I still own it. I've worn it, you know, showed people a couple of you know, once. And you know, when it comes to October, you know, I want to be able to wear it for Halloween. And what I'll do is I'll have a white rabbit in the basket because I'll be following the right rabbit. And I'll get a Cheshire Cat to sit on the back.
Oh.
Oh wow.
That's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool.
Wow.
So yeah.
And we demand pictures, of course.
Here I was about to demand that you post it in Laura's friends whenever it happens, but hey, guess you don't have to do that now.
Yeah. But I really, really, really would like that bike right now. Because at the moment, I'm having to walk everywhere because having to chuck your leg over, you know, a frame, kind of undignified. And again, boy bumps.
Well, I'm going to call it a night because I have to cook yet, and I got to work out, and I have to be at work in 3.5 hours. So I got to scramble and do a lot of stuff yet.
All right, Christina. Nice talking to you.
Wonderful seeing you in here.
Nice talking with you guys. Hugs, Laura. I wish I could hug you, but if we ever meet face to face, you're going to get a mom hug, you know.
and you know the thing is, you know, you're watching the stream. There's another couple of 100 points there. Thank you.
You're welcome, because it's like my new friend Laura. Yes, you know, I mean, I know you from before, but it's like now I have my new friend Laura, and it's just I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a big hug coming if we ever meet face to face. See you guys. Have a fantastic night. Talk to you later.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
You know, this is how. You know, this is what I love. It's, you know, just happy, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and even the chat on the YouTube thing has been. I'm like shocked that there wasn't more. You know,
I have been watching this thing like a hawk and have mostly wasted my time.
You've had overwhelming support from the community so far, which is real great.
To use a Christian term, I feel myself blessed to have some wonderful friends. I really, really do.
Oh, cool.
And not only that, I think a part of it is because I've got a good reputation in the community. I've always been, I've always, the impression I think people have of me that I'm a fair and honest person.
Very true.
And I think that, people like me, love me, whatever, because of how I present, how I act towards people, because I'm not a vociferous anti-theist. I treat everyone with respect until they prove they don't deserve it. So, like I say.
Right. Yeah. As a rule, the community is going to accept you because of you. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
They did before, they will now.
Right.
And I think that tonight has proven that.
And that is proved out tonight. The chat proved that by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all those spanners weren't really necessary, but it was better just to be safe.
I tell you what, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to be able to do, get my eyebrows waxed.
Oh.
Because I had my eyebrows waxed a couple of months ago. I had a little tiny bit off the top and on the bottom and in the middle because I didn't realize I had a white monobrow. But having some nice eyebrows would be nice because it's harder to, passing is one of the things that I'm seeking to do. And of course, having bushy eyebrows, it's like, whereas having thinner eyebrows will make me look much more feminine and, make it easier to pass. Well, the problem is because I've been needing to go online still, I've had to, not get it done as much as I might like because I needed to be a bit of both.
Right.
Now I have no excuse to not do this thing I want to do.
Well, once you do your come out on your train thing, you're done. Then you can just do what you need to do.
Yeah. And like I say, I'll go to bed tonight and I'll get do this again tomorrow, and then go on that channel.
Right.
So. Yeah.
And then you can do your eyebrows.
Can I make?
Yeah.
Can I make one request before my headphones die?
Sure.
Is to show what progress you've made in a very. I want you to tell them the ninja story.
The ninja story.
I think I remember this one.
Remind me the ninja story. Oh, that
Please.
one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what happened was, it was in the period when I started putting my wig on and going out on the balcony, because I didn't actually mention that in the thing. So I was putting up, basically what had happened was my friend went and, I said to myself, she's right. Why am I putting a boy t-shirt over the top to go on the balcony? Why don't I just go out? So I got the old wig out and started wearing it out on the balcony, and that was great. And, well, because I didn't have makeup or anything, I looked like a guy in a frock. My headspace was good, and what I was wearing was good, but, and it was a lovely warm night, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk. And I went out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Who goes out at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, it was me. And so what happened was I thought, right, so I'll go for a walk. So I went down the canal, and I'm like half a mile away. So the plan was to start here, go down there, come back, and do that. So I went down the canal, and there were some guys fishing. I'm thinking, oh, crap. So I had to turn around and go all the way back. And as there's a bridge that goes over the canal, and as I was approaching the bridge, I heard some voices, and there was some guys, chatting away, having a drink or something. So it was like, okay, well, so I sort of, quietly slipped by and then went around and under the bridge, and they saw me, but I didn't acknowledge them. And then, you know, sort of went down and I had to turn back. And so it's like, well, I'm not going to go back around up the bridge and over the top because they could get in front of me. I don't want that to happen. Want to avoid them. Don't want to talk to anybody. Just want to go out for a nice walk in the evening air, nice and cooler compared to the rest of the day. It's still a warm night. And so I ended up walking through. And one of them said, "All right, love," or something like that. And I sort of went, just sort of flicked my hand to say hello, but didn't want to say anything because as soon as I talk, let's sound like a foghorn by comparison to a normal lady. And so, and I'm sweating like crazy. I'm wearing a wig and I'm sweating under that as well. I can feel it dripping down my forehead. And so sort of up over the bridge and back. And honestly, I was scared. And, now, that was my first going out as Laura.
Trust me.
Before going out with makeup on and, actually going to the town and everything, it was sneaking out at night like the ninja, So
the point by asking you to tell that story is that was what, 3 months ago? And now you're out publicly just doing
about that.
3-4 months ago?
It was
it's been 3 months.
So
it's been about that.
Middle of August, roughly.
So it's been even longer. But my point being is that now you're just out being yourself, and before that, you were skulking around in some thing.
Yeah.
But that's my point. Like, and that story is way better with the Google map.
Yeah. I mean,
but anyways,
the only negative effect I get really is the occasional double take. But again, it's outnumbered by the positive things. So, that's better. But, I've come along a long way in a short amount of time. And, it's not just enough to be a cross-dresser. I need to, go the whole way now. I can't just, settle. Because effectively what I was doing is I was making the best out of what I had. And now I'm saying, I don't have to settle. I don't have to settle for, doing the best with what I've got. I can get better, I can go for hormones and grow boobs and all that kind of stuff. And I was going to say about getting a bra. Oh, getting a bra was so hard because I'm quite broad. And, now, for people who don't realize these things, so bras come in different cup size, so the size of your boobs. So, Shani's a J. I'm sorry. Anyway,
sorry.
What's happened is, the numbers that you get are usually, so 32B or whatever, 22B or whatever, right? So the 22 will be how many inches around the body, and then the B is the cup. Well, because I'm so tall, I'm also broad. It's like a scale kind of thing, that I'm not just tall, I'm wide as well. So it goes outwards. So my chest is 42 inches. Okay. Now, because I've got a 42-inch chest, trying to find a bra that's an A or a B cup, small ones, is impossible. They don't make them.
I was going to say, is that even possible?
Yeah, because women that have a bust, have a body that's, 42 inches around tend to be larger ladies who put on some weight and they've got fat in their breast tissue as a part of, being overweight or whatever. So as a result, you get a B cup, a D cup and bigger in the size chest that I've got. So trying to get a bra in a size that was comfortable for me. I mean, I ended up having to buy something that was way too big. So I went from 0 to D, and I'm having to look over the damn things, to see my feet. It was quite astounding. It's like, but actually, it works for me because, of course, the size of the dresses that I buy you know, they're designed for someone who's got a bust. Whereas I didn't have, you know, I wasn't doing it before. So under my arms, the fabric was kind of flapping around, you know, because it wasn't really built for a guy's body. So, you know, when I, you know, for the future, when I start taking hormones, it's going to develop in its own. I mean, the irony of it is I'm going to be going through puberty again, you know, now, but this time I'll be going through puberty as a girl. You know,
but someone mentioned in the chat, second puberty is fun.
Well,
yeah.
The funny thing about it is everyone sort of says, oh, it's awful. And even the trans people say it's awful because apparently growing boobs hurts.
Well, I can imagine.
You know, your skin is stretching and everything as well. So, you know, but a part of me is going to be like a little girl, you know, in a way. Because, you know, little girls, they want to grow up and they want to, you know, and they look at their bigger sisters or whatever, and they see that they've got boobs, and it's like, one day I'm going to have boobs. And so, you know, I'm going to effectively be going through puberty. I'm going to be going through pubescence. I'm going to be growing boobs, and it's going to hurt, but whatever. And it's going to be great because I will get to, you know, grow up, if that makes sense. You know, it's just that I'm going to be growing up in a big-sized body. It's a weird thing to say, I suppose.
But you look so happy. I just can't get over how happy you look. That is amazing to me that you look that happy.
I am. I really am. You know,
you're actually glowing.
I'm happy to be me. I'm not having to masquerade anymore.
Right. Yeah. And what Jordy said is correct. You're glowing. It's actually radiating from you.
I'm afraid that's the blush. That's the blush.
And with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again for inviting me.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that you're happy.
And thanks for being so supportive as well.
And Laura, I will see you around.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone in the chat as well for being super supportive. The people who, you know, like I say, I hope this won't make much difference other than you having to get your head around using a different pronoun and calling me Laura if you can. You know, and I think once I start training my voice to be a little higher and more, you know, go up for a couple of octaves kind of thing, I think that will help people get their head around it because right now they're hearing Cliff's voice, and sooner or later they'll start hearing a lighter voice, you know, and so yeah.
Oh my god, I just don't go as high as Stephen Bachman.
So, hey Laura, Jordy brought up a story that he thought would be a good idea for you to share.
Mm-hmm.
Would you care to share with people who you encountered as Laura on one occasion in Manchester?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, let's see.
This might be an opportunity to save this for a future video.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just putting it out there if you wanted to share that now or what, because I find
we're not condoning stalking people.
Not at all. We're not condoning sectioning either, or ketchup.
I don't know where I've put the file. Let me just check. Oh, it doesn't matter. I bumped into Jason Burns in Manchester, and you know, now I didn't talk to him. He actually looked at me. He looked directly at me, and then looked away. But what I did was I videoed over my shoulder. Actually, maybe on my tablet still. But yeah, what I did was I just sort of recorded him with my tablet. And I'm like, you know, so I'm sort of like, I'm in Manchester and look, and I sort of scrolled around and you can see him in the background with a stick and Jesus stuff written on it. And it's like, it's Jason Burns.
just how giggly you are in that video is just 10 out of 10. Amazing.
Yeah. And of course, I thought to myself, I can't go and see him. I can't speak to him. I mean, I got to about 5 yards away from him in that. But, I walked past where he was and he didn't notice because I do look different. Although the features are somewhat similar, I look different. And I think the difference is enough that I do reasonably well. But he but it was just like, yeah, here he is, and I'm sort of there. I am in a disguise, so to speak. He doesn't know who I am. And let's see. Oh, yeah, that was it.
Oh God!
Hang on.
Here it goes.
Oh, I accidentally touched something as I tried turning it around. A second.
Yeah, I just saw it on the playback.
Okay, let's try again. There you go. So there he is. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Let me use this finger instead.
There we go. I see the sign more than I see him, but that's how you know it's him.
He's not standing on his soapbox, Pew. It's okay. Don't be a height. Don't be a heightist.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Fair point. Just the trigonometry didn't work out for being able to see him. That's why he has such a tall sign, you think?
Yeah, it's to compensate. He has trouble reaching doorknobs.
Yeah, I see. And elevator buttons.
Yeah.
That's why he carries the sign, is to press the button. It's not really about Jesus.
Okay. Here we go. Right. Here's the footage. There he is.
There we go.
But I don't want to talk to him. I don't need to have anything to do with him,
Right.
But there was no way I was going to talk to him or let him figure it out because, of course, he could go on channel and start talking about it, and there's enough people who still subscribe to him, that
gotten out. Yeah.
So
I just figured it was a funny thing to share now that you've gone public. You know?
But like I say, I'm perfectly happy. He doesn't need me in his life. I don't need him in mine. But it was just like, oh look, there he is. Well, let me just take a video with me looking like this and him in the background. So yeah. Oh, excuse me. So happy me now. I'm happy with myself now.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I'm out to everybody. It's not like I can put it back in the bottle now. I'm going to be changing my name. And not only that, this is an amazing thing because, in a week's time or so, once I've got it all signed and I go to the doctors, my name will actually be Laura. I won't be like, be Dave, because that's my name. So I won't be Dave going to town dressed up like a woman and, saying his name is a girl's name. No, my name will actually be Laura. I'll have changed my actual name and I'll be using a real name.
Are you changing your YouTube name or is that still going to be Cliffjumper24?
I think it's going to change because Cliff Jumper then gets turned into Cliff, and that sounds like a guy's name.
It is, yeah, man.
I'm trying to get away from that kind of mentality.
It's gonna take me I'm probably gonna still call you Cliff probably for a while on accident. You know, it's gonna be a while because I've known you as Cliff for almost 5 years now, dude. Man, oh my god, I did it again.
There it is. I do that. I do that because I do that like to women that I know too.
Yeah,
damn it. Okay,
but don't worry. As I said,
I know. You don't really care. It's just kind of like, wow.
Hang on, that's not quite true. I do care, but I'm not taking insult. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, I want people to call me Laura because that's my name. And everybody who calls me Laura adds to the points that I'm accruing for positive energy, if that makes sense. You know, all the positive things in my life, that all adds to the good things. And then I've got the negative things, which don't add up as many points. So therefore, I'm in positive territory. That is what will keep me. That's my coping strategy to deal with it. Geordie's ran out of power on his headphones.
Yes, poor Geordie.
I've you know, the amount of energy that's going on here has basically just ran out, you know, for him. You know, he's used all the energy's been used up on me and all this positive stuff. His headphones just can't do it now.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can just keep on talking, and hopefully my microphone is just good enough to not cut over everything. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to not because I was more concerned of outing you from what I said. Yeah. So when we were discussing like, you going to Florida and stuff, like we were saying why you need to go, and I was like, I can't tell anybody.
Yeah. The thing that was funny the other day was Jim. Because I said this at the start of the thing, you know, Jim. So what happened was I went into Discord the other day and there were like 3 people there. It was Spackle, Dragnor, and Barney. And I went in and I said, you know, and I'm thinking, okay, the people I know here are okay. So I just sort of blurted it out. I said, yeah, okay, guys, I'm going to be coming out in a couple of days. I'm going to be coming out as trans. And it's like, oh, okay, really cool kind of thing. You know, surprised, but you know, supportive. So what happened was Spackle typed something out, and I said, like, can you delete that because that kind of gives it away? And she's like, oh yeah, sorry. So she deleted it. And then what happened was Jim joined a bit late, you know, like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, and he saw something, you know, and it's like, oh, that looks anonymous. Anonymous, you know. So you know, it's like, oh, that looks like something that's interesting. What's going on here? Because it's like, oh, you know, I can't remember what she said now. It was like, you know, it's going to be a challenge, but you know, I think you're up for it, or something like that. I can't remember now. And it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. What's that about? And I basically said, I've just got a big announcement I'm going to be making. I'm keeping it to myself for now. And so so what happened was he said something like, "Don't worry, Cliff, you'll look great as a woman." And I was like, deer in the headlights. It's like, oh shit, who told him? How did he find out?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I know, WTF, Jim? ? As in, like, what the fuck, kind of thing. And I'm thinking, will he call the bluff? Will he call the bluff? And then he goes, "Don't worry, I'm only teasing." It's like, so it's like, you know. And then of course, when I first started, it's like, you know, hey, here I am. By the way, Jim. You know, so close, you know, you got it exactly right on target. Accidentally.
I think somebody else in the chat just before this started made a similar joke. I forget who it was.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, it's it was lovely to you know. Oh, sorry, Brian wants to come in.
Brian. Yes. Renee's trying to figure out a way to come in.
Wait, what?
Brian wants to come in. Brian J.
Oh, I thought you said Ryan.
Ryan's already in here, damn it.
Yes, he is.
He hasn't gotten to talk very much. but he's in here.
Renee, I'll send you a link through the Hangouts the other day. Just open it up.
I can pass Brian the link if you haven't done it already.
No, it's Renee.
Oh, okay.
So
you mentioned Brian.
I do have to hang out. I have things I have to do tonight to prepare for work tomorrow. So
yeah. Thank you very much, Jackie. And you know, like I say, I know I've said it before, but you know, thanks for being so supportive. I'm glad that it's going to be much easier for you to not make any mistakes and accidentally leak anything. You know.
Well, my comfort and convenience is not of importance, and not nearly as much as it is important for you to be happy and comfortable. So,
and you know, me being comfortable with me has been, you know, a lot of it has been accomplished by having a circle of friends that support me. Because if it wasn't for you, I would, you know, still be, you know, wanting to hide it or whatever. And, you know, still be wondering what everybody else will think. Will, you know, will how people see me in the community diminish, and will people hate me, and, you know, things like that. And, you know, it's kind of like, no, if these people can accept who I am and be super supportive, then maybe everybody else can as well. So the reason why I'm coming out today is thanks to, you know, the people in this hangout, you know, the people in my Laura's Friends group and things like that. Yeah, I've
been through like 20 tissues. Aw. Okay.
This has been wonderful.
Go. I've been served dinner. So. Good
Jackie,
night.
you've been served.
Get owned.
Oh, okay.
He's won you in debate. Go.
Is it a very educated debate?
It's scholarly and academic. What?
I was looking for.
Jade Boo has been so much more relevant in this hangout than like any time in the last several months. It's so odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I think if I remember correctly, Mrs. Drag is Metal and.
Oh, is that Mrs. Drag?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've sent you the link in where we've been chatting before on Discord.
Let's take a second look at that profile picture because I did not notice that.
I thought Mrs. Drag was the Wu-Tang symbol.
Oh, sure enough. I've been looking at the pic so tiny. Yep, that is Mrs. Drag. Confirmed. Changed the channel name, I see. And removed all the videos.
Wasn't she like Mrs. D before? Right?
I think there was a real Mrs. D, and then there was a very prominent Mrs. D sock account that was going around.
It was something with like a Wu-Tang symbol. I remember that like clearly.
Oh, sorry. Spackle, I've also sent a link to you. Sorry, I haven't been looking at that. I've been focusing on giving the story and, you know, everything else. So,
Laura, I've been screenshotting highlights for you. It's all good.
Right.
I'm seriously like overwhelmed by how positive the chat has been. Like it's required almost nothing in terms of moderation. I'm truly proud of how this community has dealt with this collectively. It's really great.
It's sort of funny how many circling the wagons jokes we've been making in the last week.
And we were like passing out spanners like we were about to go to war. Like holy shit.
And actually, not surprisingly, like I was gonna say initially, is not surprisingly the majority of the community was super respectful and wonderful and very, very accepting and supportive.
Less toxic than like even the average drag stream.
And we literally only had to mute one person, really, or two people.
I counted 3. I'll tell you about one later.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've been, I kind of worried about is how are people going to react with it? Because, if you think about, I can think of two trans people that, Brenda, who hasn't got the best reputation, shall we say. And then, of course, there was Nadia, and there's a lot of,
And again, Nadia doesn't have the best reputation either. It's their behavior that gets people to attack them.
Yeah, so it's like, how are going to people react to me? So it's like,
it's people they're just shitty.
But we know you, like as an individual, we know that you're a lot better than them in terms of your behavior. So, yeah, I mean, I think most people in this community are definitely more individualistic than like the general world population. So I think you're not really in a judgmental zone, if that makes sense.
And you're like a decent, lovable, awesome human being, and they weren't or aren't. It's not really the trans thing. It's just not good human people.
Yeah, Davey, Laura's my new name.
I got you.
I am's Laura.
You ams.
Who is that addressing?
Yes, real talk. I am.
3 people just joined the chat like it's
transgender.
Laura, I just want you to know that I love you, and I've met you in person, and I think you have a really good heart. And I do not say that just because, like in our conversations and how you treat people and how you love people, I support you, and to hell with anybody that doesn't.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I mean, I know I surprised you the other day.
I'm not going to lie, I'm with Ryan. I didn't see this one coming, but it sounds like you've been feeling this way for a very long time, and we just haven't known it.
Yeah. I'm very good at keeping it quiet. I become... It's the coping strategy thing. You become so good at, saying the same thing, I mean, anybody I've told this story to will have heard me say the exact wording, that I said in, in the main, before I started introducing people in. When I told people the story, the wording I used is exactly the same wording I used when I told them. And that's because I created a coping strategy. Okay, this wording works. Let's keep doing that. And of course, this seems to make people comfortable, me acting and being this way. It's, yeah. It became second nature. To hide it became second nature. And so, and the same thing is going to happen with my voice, because I've watched other trans women's videos where they've talked about how their voice used to be like this, and then a year later they look at their old voice and how they are now, and and when they try to go back to being lower, it's hard. They have to effectively retrain. They have to try and push themselves to go down again, because what happens
when Jennifer Gordon does that, it freaks me out. You remember Jennifer Gordon?
Yeah. I actually spoke
when she does that, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I actually spoke to her last week. I got in contact with her through Facebook, and we had a long chat. So yeah, it's but it's hard. Apparently, it's hard when people have learned how to raise their voice. So the voice isn't down resonating in the chest. It's not up to their neck. It's sort of here. And, when they try to make it go back down, they just really struggle to do it because they become so used to it. It's like muscle memory kind of thing.
I was going to say, when people go straight to bits and pieces, what happens to what goes down below? I just want to remind people that that's not normally appropriate conversation.
Yeah.
And why does it make it, suddenly appropriate? Like, you don't rock up to me and ask, well, what kind of labia do you have? You know, like nobody does that unless they're Lyrical Orion or Godless Girl. But other than that, I mean, Godless Girl did call me roast beef C word, but which is not the case down there, if you want to know. But it's not appropriate, right? So why should it be appropriate right now? I just want to point that out.
Yeah, one of the things that I've said is if you want to ask some questions, then my email address is below. Feel free to ask me questions. But the two things that are off topic are my sexuality and what I've done, what I do with the organs that I've got, or what I'm going to be doing with the organs I'm going to get, and you know what I'm going to be doing with my genitals, because it's nobody's business but my own, and maybe my doctors who I'll have discussions with about things like that. You know, that I have options, and I'll be deciding which I'm going to go for.
Have you noticed that some people put sexual identity and sexual attraction on the same sliding scale, but it's actually two different sliding scales? And nobody thinks about that. And how interested you are in sex or disinterested is on a different sliding scale. And I think people should give people some room to be who they are, as opposed to fitting in to what makes them personally comfortable.
Yeah, there's someone I watch on YouTube called Swank Ivy, and she's an asexual, and she's like, you know, basically an asexual activist and explaining, look, this is what it is and this is how it works. And she gets emails or responses or, you know, whatever, and she'll just read them out, and letters to an asexual and things like that. And, you know, it's amazing how many people just don't accept it because it's like out of the norm for them. And it's, you know, she's got this thing called asexual bingo. You know, you've not met the right man. You're just gay. Right. You haven't met me. You know, and all these series of things. Well, I am pretty much asexual. You know, I don't really use it. Don't really care that much about it. And I certainly look at it and I think, ugh. So, you know, I'm going to be making changes that work for me. And, you know, like I say, if you wouldn't talk to this with your friend, why would you, you know, if you wouldn't ask your friend about the intimate details of their genitals, why
well, sometimes I do, depending on the friend.
Well, yeah.
It has to be an open door, though, right? It has to be on point.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so like if somebody says like, "Hey, I'm getting a circumcision, and I'm an adult, and I'm going to talk about the circumcision," well, then suddenly the door's open, and you might be able to talk about it. But that person opens the door, and they consent to that conversation, right?
Yeah.
Are we talking about Lanatar?
I don't know who we're talking about, but I was just thinking of a kind of a word picture that is realistic.
Because that sounds like what Lanatar did. He went into graphic detail about a circumcision.
You. I mean, I've still got the him in a mankini burned into my head. That didn't help. That extra information.
That was wonderful.
But identity and sexuality, if you think about it in two different sliding scales, and that might help with some confusion.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a perfect example of this is effectively the word sex has two meanings. Effectively, it's two usages, because, you know, one of them is, you know, what you do with your body, who you sleep with, who you're attracted to, and the other one is, you know, the name, you know, the M or F that's attached to your birth certificate or passport or whatever, because of you know, because of what genitals they saw when you were born. And you know, think about it another way. Think of the word love. The way that you love a husband or a wife, the way that you love a sibling, you know, the way you love a sibling is different than the way you love your mum. The way that you know that you love your mum or your sibling is completely different to the way you love your favorite sports team, or, you know, your favorite car. So we use the same word love, but it has so many different, usages. That's the same when it comes to sex.
I agree, and it's handy that the Greeks have different names for it. I wish we did.
Yeah. It's a bit surprising that, it's a shame the French didn't. Because if the French did, that would have helped. For those who don't realize, but a lot of English, the reason why we've got all these extra names for pretty much the same thing, whether it's bread or loaf or, baguettes or, or a hill or a dale or a mountain and things like that, is because of the French.
Fucking French.
Get out of my life, French people. No, I'm kidding.
I think that extends to Geordie.
No. Don't retract that. Yes, fuck the French and just keep it that way. It's okay. We don't really have any French people in our community, so it's not a big deal.
I'm French.
Except the French Canadian, they've given us the greatest gift of all, a poutine.
Yes, certainly.
I have French ancestry, but that was way
so do I. But I that's the part of myself that I hate and gives me constant distress.
Well, I mean, the link to it goes back to the sort of 11th century for me, so bit of a way back.
Ooh, that is way back.
Oof.
So, Laura, do you like to thread or do you like to pluck your eyebrows?
I don't do either. I get someone else to wax. Only ever did done once.
Threading is really trendy right now here.
Yeah, I've also heard that it's really fucking painful as well. So I think perhaps not. But it's not something I've tried, so maybe I should and then make a decision on whether, But yeah. Do you do makeup at all, Deirdre?
I am completely retarded, but my really good friend in chat, Renee, is beauty school fabulous, and she has tons of stuff, and she's helped me a little bit, but I'm pretty much retarded. I'm very tomboyish. I probably shouldn't say retarded, but I've always felt really inept about makeup, actually. Like out of place about it for me, for whatever reason.
Maybe I should have a hangout where we talk about makeup.
I will quietly sit in the live chat.
Teach me how to girl, Renee. Teach me how to make up.
I mean, I've gone on YouTube and picked up a bunch of videos and things like that. So I found those useful.
I do super bite my nails. Why are you telling everybody about that? I'm doing it right now, actually. I'm biting my nails. How did you know?
Oh, I'm having a horrible time right now with one of my nails. I got a split in my thumbnail, and it just, every time when it starts to grow, it splits again, and then I end up having to file it and clean it up so it doesn't keep catching everything, clothes and everything. But yeah. Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for the lovely support I've had, and I hope you'll I hope you'll start using my name, calling me Laura wherever you can, and be respectful and everything. And like I say, if you stuff up, I'm not going to hold it up against you. If you're still doing it a year from now, then I was like, oh, come on. I've been using this name for a year now. You haven't got a hold of it yet? Maybe then. But for now, everything's cool. So yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks for being so pleasant, and thanks for all the support. And there I am being me. So have a good night.